Today marks the unofficial start of summer, and lots of people have plans that are going to put them out in the sun.
Yeah, and while that can be fun, of course, doctors are reminding you not to overdo it this weekend or any weekend throughout the summer. Here to tell us more about Don't Friday is Dr. Gavin Powell from the Dermatology and Laser Center of Canyon County. Thanks so much for waking up a little bit earlier than normal, doctor, and being with us. Now, we mentioned today is Don't Friday. Tell us about that. That's kind of is that an Idaho initiative that's going on here?
Yes, it's a campaign just to remind us to protect our skin while we're out in the sun, and just an initiative to help us be mindful of all the damage that sun can cause and the things that we can do to protect our skin and prevent the problems that sun can lead to.
And doctor, you know, something that's interesting to me, the rates here in our state are pretty high. What are the signs that people need to be looking for with skin cancer?
Sure. The common signs of skin cancer, there's many different types of skin cancer. The sore on the skin that does not want to heal is a concern. Any rough scaly spots, particularly if you get tender or painful. And probably the biggest one, particularly for melanoma, would be any skin lesion that seems to be growing or changing rapidly, so changing its shape, its color, or its size. And if you look at something and say, hey, that looks different than it did last month, those are reasons why you want to get in to see your dermatologist sooner rather than later.
And bigger than a pencil eraser? Is that
That's one of the criteria. The American Academy of Dermatology has the ABCs of melanoma, and that's the D portion of that, and that's for diameter. That's actually an arbitrary measurement. I think it's one of the least useful because you can certainly have small melanomas as well.
And if it's changing, then that's still a red flag. You need to go see the doctor.
Correct. I think that's the biggest one that most people should be aware of. Any growing or changing lesion would be the biggest concern.
Okay, and you had mentioned a statistic to us during the commercial break about the melanoma rates here in Idaho. What were you saying? One in 63 people will get melanoma in their lifetime. And that's a leading state average around the country, isn't it?
Correct. And there's up to 1 in 4 fair-skinned individuals will get skin cancer of some type, so it's exceedingly common.
Wow.
You know, I'm a female, and especially around the Boise State campus, when I go spray tan, I'm safe.
Yes.
I do notice a lot of women put a lot of thought into getting tan, being out in the sun.
Correct.
What are some precautions? Like, what do we want to say to these people how important it is to protect themselves?
Sure. Well, I'd certainly say that to intentionally go out and tan and damage your skin is just not a good idea. And I recommend protecting your skin, and the main things that we recommend is to wear protective clothing, a broad-brimmed hat with at least a 4-inch brim, and then to wear an SPF 30 sunscreen and apply that at least 30 minutes before you go out, and then reapply that every 2 to 3 hours if you're going to be outside for a long period of time.
And you mentioned sunscreen. There's actually some new labeling guidelines this year, I understand, correct?
Correct. The FDA has actually changed the labeling, and so now sunscreens will be labeled as being broad spectrum. And if it is labeled broad spectrum, which most sunscreens will be, you know that it will protect against UVB, which is the primary damaging ray that causes sunburns, but also you'll get adequate protection against UVA. It also will prevent sunburn, of course, which is one of the main reasons that we wear sunscreen, one of the reasons why that we can directly see that it protects us. It also will limit the aging of the skin, is one of the main factors that people don't think about.
Yeah,
Correct, and that's one of the main reasons I encourage people, besides the cancer promotion, is to protect your skin, because as we age, we look in the mirror and we see all the sunspots and wrinkles, and we wish that we hadn't been out in the sun so much earlier in our lives.
So I know, I'm to that point now where I'm like, oh, what is that showing up?
Even without the burn, still damage that can be done. So important to remember, Don't Friday. That's why that campaign is going on today. We sure appreciate you coming in, doctor. And